Welcome back to Coding with Kyle. We're going to go ahead and do the next feature, and this one is Ben's feature. Let's look at what Ben is working on. All right, so the charge attack. Ben is working on a charge attack, and this is going to be a charge up time for a special attack. It goes in the player sprite, and basically there's going to be an item that Ben can potentially interact with called Brass Knuckles. So it's the Brass Items Knuckle is equipped. You can click a button to charge an attack up over time, and then do a side punch, an uppercut, a side punch, an uppercut, or a normal punch to release the attack. The more that you charge up the attack before releasing, the more damage it does. And then if you have Brass Knuckles equipped, it does more. All right, so let's go ahead and look at that feature. And we also have some numbers here. So the punch normally does 1 damage, the side punch does 1 damage, and an uppercut does 3. So let's go ahead and just create a new Scratch project. A new one, yes, I do. All right. So we're going to go ahead and create this punch. So we're going to start off our program with the green flag being pressed, and we know that this needs to be in the player sprite, right? Okay, cool. So we need to have 3 different abilities for the character. We're going to have, let's do 1, 2, and 3. So all of these are going to be when a key is pressed, okay? And so now we need to figure out which ones we want to do. And I'm going to go ahead and pick Q, W, and E, or Q, E, and R, actually. I'm sorry, Q, E, and R. Those are going to be our punches. The reason for this is because WASD on the keyboard is oftentimes for movement, and Q, E, and R are right next to those keys. So there's a lot of games that will actually use Q, E, and R. There we go. I know where the letters are in the alphabet, do you? Okay, and R. Cool. So those are pretty common punch ones. So Q is going to be our punch, our normal punch. E is going to be our side punch, and R is going to be our uppercut. So what we're going to do is we're going to need a variable, and we're going to call this enemy HP. And we're going to display it for all sprites, that way we can access it. And we're going to move it to the right side because that's probably where the enemy is going to be. And whenever Q is pressed, we want to do a check. We want to say if we're touching, the player is touching the enemy sprite. So let's add an enemy real quick. Andy's not the enemy. Okay, let's see. We're doing this is a bar brawler game. So what if it's cat brawler? Let's who do we want to fight? Oh, this dinosaur. Let's fight this dinosaur. All right, so we're gonna fight the dinosaur. All right, costumes, and I'm gonna change one of these costumes. So this is the normal cat sprite. Let's have a little bit of fun and add another costume here. So we're gonna get a little bit of animation. So this is gonna be a perfect uppercut. There we go, boom, uppercut. Let's go back to our cat. Let's make this one. This is going to be our this will be our side punch. We're going to come around the outside. So this will be our side punch. So let's label this side punch. This cat is going to be our uppercut. This is going to be our. It kind of looks like he's punching there. So this is going to be our normal punch. Yeah, we need to know his normal. Now, what does he look like when he's just standing around? That's punching. This is the only one that's left, right? So this will be him standing around. Yeah, that's the punch. Okay, cool. So this is going to be We'll just call it the player. So this is the normal player. That's the player doing a punch, an uppercut, and a side punch. All right, so we got the costumes down, and this will be cool. So we're going to say that if, so when do we want these punches to happen? If we're over top, if we're touching this guy, right? So this is a sensing thing. We're going to say if we are touching the dinosaur, which let's go ahead and change the dinosaur to enemy brawler. So the dinosaurs are enemy brawler. And so if we're touching the enemy brawler, then we want to apply this punch. So the first thing is part of our looks, right? We want to change the costume. We want to switch the costume to punch, and then we want to change the enemy HP by, let's go back and look, by a punch is 1 damage. So enemy HP is going to go down by -1. Okay, and the last thing, we need to make sure that we put a stop this script at the end. Cool, cool, cool. All right, so now when the E key is pressed, that's going to be our side punch, right? So we want to just copy the same thing. So let's go ahead and just duplicate this and copy it there. But instead of punch, we're going to switch it to side punch. I think it's still -1. Yep, side punch is still -1, so that stays the same. And whenever we're touching the enemy brawler, we side punch. Okay, all that stays the same. Cool. And then R, whenever R is pressed, we're going to copy this again because it's the same code. And instead of a side punch, we're going to do our uppercut, but the uppercut is 3 damage. So the enemy health needs to go down by 3. And they probably start off with more than 0 health, right? So whenever we click on the green flag, we want to set the enemy HP to, let's say 10. This is, let's say 15. Maybe this is like a medium enemy. Okay. So now let's test it. If my cat is over top of him, I hit Q, it changes, and health goes down to -10. Or let's hit the green flag there. Health is at 15. So I hit Q, that's a normal punch. That damage goes to 14, and the costume changes. If I click on E, boom, that's my side punch. The damage goes down by 1. And if I click R, that's my uppercut. And boom, that's a lot of damage. That's 3 damage. So all of that's working correctly. Something we want to do, though, is notice our character stays in the costume. So after, let's wait a second, right? There needs to be some cooldown, so you can't just spam the buttons. So we're going to wait 1 second, and then we want to switch the costume back to the normal player costume, okay? And maybe we duplicate this for all the attacks. But maybe the uppercut, maybe that's a stronger attack. So maybe instead of waiting 1 second, maybe we wait 1.5 seconds, and maybe 1 is kind of a lot. Maybe we wait 0.5 seconds here, and then maybe we wait 0.5 seconds here. So now I'm over top of the enemy. I click on, hit the green flag to give him some health. Click Q, I do my punch, go back. Hit E, do my side thing, go back. Hit R, uppercut, then go back. And you can play around with, the wait times as much as you want. But that's applying our damage and doing our punches. And so now we can get to our feature of the charge attack, okay? So what we're going to do for the charge attack is let's go ahead and we need to add in an event. So this is going to be another key, and maybe this is the space key. So let's zoom out on this a little bit. So we have our uppercut. These are our normal punches. Kind of organize those a little bit more to the side there. And then when the space key is pressed, we're going to do our charge attack. So let's go back and have some costume fun first. And let's go ahead and duplicate this one. But this is going to be our charge. And let's just take this guy and let's make him, we could just make him red, right? As some way to show that he's charging. That is very red, but he's very powered up. So this is him doing the charge attack. And obviously you can spend more time with the costume. So when the space key is pressed, we want to switch to the costume of charge. And then at the end, we're going to switch the costume back to player, okay? Actually, we don't need to do that. So we'll end the charge by doing a side punch, uppercut, or punch, and those automatically switch the costume back to player. So we don't need to do that. We just switch the costume to charge whenever the space key is pressed. Now we're red, and we are charging. So while we're charging, we want to be able to keep track of time. And we need to add in power. So what we could do is we can say that you charge the attack and you're going to have to wait for 3 seconds. Let's say 3 seconds. And then damage, so then the damage that you do is going to be increased. So that's a little bit tricky. We need a damage variable. So this is trying to modify damage, and all of these use damage right here, but we've hard-coded these numbers in. So now what we need to do is a way to access all of them all here. And we do that by creating a variable. So we create a variable that says player attack, and it's going to be for this sprite only. We click OK. Whenever the green flag is pressed, what we're going to do is we're going to set the player attack to -1. So what that means is that whenever our normal punches do 1 damage, okay? So change enemy HP by -1, we're going to change this. We're going to say change enemy HP by player attack, which equals -1. And we're going to drag that also down into the queue when Q is pressed. That one's -1 as well. And now when R is pressed, it's going to be -3, okay? So what we want to do is go to operators and find this ×1, and we're going to drag it in here. And basically this attack is 3 times the normal attack. So this is going to be 3 times -1, which is -3. Okay, so we basically changed nothing here. But what we're going to be able to do is after we charge it for 3 seconds, we can change the player attack by -1. So that's going to make our attack, which is already dealing 1 damage, is now going to deal 2 damage. So let's go back to our charts here. That means that a normal punch, so let's look at the, okay, there's no charge attack with, so this would be a charge attack. So now our punch is going to deal 2, our side punch is going to deal 2, our uppercut's going to deal, okay, our uppercut needs to deal 4, so it needs to just add 1 damage. So we can't actually times it by 3. So what we need to do is increase the damage by 1. So to do that, we can say that the normal attack, so let's take this operator out, and we're going to replace it with a minus. Okay, no, with a plus. All right. So our normal damage is -3. -3, and now what we're going to do is we're going to add the player attack to it. So player attack by default is actually just going to be 0. And what we're going to do, let me make sure the charge, I thought the charge does double it. The charge doubles it. Charge adds a ×2 damage. All right, so never mind, undo everything I just said. Boom, 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 going back. Dude, okay, 3 times player attack, perfect. So player attack 2. So what we need to do actually is we need to call this variable. We need to rename it. This is going to be our charge attack. Okay, and our charge attack is going to be equal to 0. And then whenever we set it, whenever we're charging, we're going to set it to 2 right over here. So charging is going to make us do twice the damage. Okay, so 3 times charge attack, which actually charge attack needs to start off as 1 because 3 times 1 is 3. And this is going to be -3 damage. And then we also need to take out these. It's no longer just charge attack. We need that operator, that multiplication operator, because the math we're doing is that the normal base damage of -1 doubled by the charge attack. So we times it by charge attack. And this is just a math equation here. Okay, boom, that's some quick math. All right, so we switch the charge attack by 2. And then we need to make sure that we close this, no hanging scripts. Okay, and we need to make sure that this gets set back to 0 after we're done charging. So we charge, and then now our attack is charged. So what we want to do is after doing an attack, we switch the caution back to the normal player. We want to set charge attack back to 1 on all of our scripts. And what this is going to do is it will, oops, where did that go? Yeah, so charge attack 1 is it is going to set our charge attack back to the default value of 1 because -3 times 1 is -3. Okay, so we're over top of our guy. We click the green flag. His health is at 15. We punch with Q. It does 1 damage, and we go back to normal. Now we click space. Now we're charging. We click Q to do our normal punch, but it should be 2 damage. And it does 3 damage. We'll look at that in a second, but let's see. We charge again. Now we click E. That did 1. Oh, okay, that's why. Because so we're charging, and we didn't wait 3 seconds before doing it. Now if we click, that did 5 damage. Okay. All right, so that's because we're changing the charge attack by 2. We actually need to set it. What we want to do is set charge attack to 2. To 2. Increasing it by 2 made it the number 3. So let's try this again. So we hit green, do our normal Q, 14. We do our E, that's at 13. We do our R, that's -3. Now we're at 10. We go back. So now what we're going to do is we're going to charge, and we have to wait 3 seconds before we hit Q. Now it does 2. We charge, we wait 3 seconds, we click our E, we do 2 damage, go back to normal. We charge, we wait 3 seconds, we click our R, do our uppercut, and then that did 6 damage. And that was all the remaining health, and now our enemy is defeated. So some things to note is if we are charging and we click first, it does -1 and then goes back. And then our charge is still charged for the next attack. So we don't want that to happen. If a player clicks a button before the charge, that's not good. It sets the charge attack back to 1. So we need to, we can just add in a looks for right now that says, so let's add in say So we want to tell the player, make sure that they know that they're able to charge. So we're going to say charging, and this is going to be for 3 seconds. That's going to correspond to that time. And then right after that, we're going to let them know charged. So we click the green flag. We hit the charging. Then we can hit it. Oh, then it says charged. Okay, so it's gonna, so the charging for 3 seconds is actually a say plus a wait. It's saying charging and waiting in one. So we can actually take out this wait for 3 seconds because this is a say charge and wait. for 3 seconds, or say charging while waiting for 3 seconds. So we click the green flag, we are charging, and then we're charged, boom, punch, and it does 2 damage. Charging, let's do the uppercut. Charged, boom, 6 damage. Okay, we hit this, and then we try to do it beforehand, and it just does the normal 3 damage. Okay, so that is how you do the charge attack. Charge attack, boom. And then now, for the brass knuckles, that's a different feature. That's an item, and you'll need to basically modify the value for the attack damage for brass knuckles. But we can talk about that in another feature. That's all for today for this one, and thank you for watching.